let's just bring on board Shashank Srivastava, who's the Senior Executive Officer, Marketing and Sales at Maruti Suzuki, to talk about their auto sales numbers. Feb sales numbers have beaten the street estimate as of now when you look at it. And Mr. Srivastava, Maruti is a lot dependent, especially on the rural market sales. And this time, India is once again fearing the El Nino effect, which can actually shake up the rural sentiment. What is the expectation in terms of the impact on the rural sales this time, given that other moving parts such as rate hikes, etc., are at play as well?
Actually, if you look at the current year, the penetration of rural sales in our portfolio is 44.3%. It's up over last year. Last year it was about 43.5% or so. So it's a 0.8% increase in penetration so far of the this year of the 15 lakh vehicles that we have sold. About 6,42,000 are in rural areas. So yes, it's a very important segment, and there are there are reports that the El Nino can impact negatively the monsoon, and hence, since agricultural income is a very important factor in rural sales, it might impact the rural sales. So that danger does exist. However, we have to see that there are some positives as well going on. As we have seen the Rabi sowing is actually quite positive. The production of food grains should be a record food grain production, and the MSP rates are higher. Infrastructure spending in rural areas also higher. There are a lot of positives also going for rural areas. But yes, you are right. If there is an big impact on monsoon, you could see a dip in agriculture incomes, and hence the rural sales will come under stress.
Good afternoon, Mr. Srivastava. There's Shell also joining in the conversation, and there have been actually reports suggesting that there has been about 8 to 10% drop when it comes to dealer level inquiries, and that's for the month of February. Have you witnessed such sort of a phenomenon? Have you come across such reports, and what's your experience?
No, for us, the inquiry level for February was up about 12%, but it's possible that that is because of our new models, the Fronx and the Jimny, which we had unveiled, and the bookings are up about 3% in February. So it's possible, of course, for those manufacturers where no new models may not have come in the recent past, you could have seen a dip in inquiry levels.
Mr. Srivastava, could you actually talk to us about the numbers coming in for Fronx as well as Jimny? How are you coping with the production over there?
Actually, the production starts end of March, and the start of sales should happen in the beginning of April. But we have unveiled it, as you know, in the Auto Expo in January, and we are collecting bookings at the moment. So booking figures so far for the Jimny is 21,000, slightly above 21,000. And for the Fronx, slightly above 12,000, which I believe are good numbers. And by the time it's the start of production, start of sales, end of March, beginning of April, then we could see a substantial waiting periods in both these two models.
Right, Mr. Srivastava, there have been indications that with regards to the production in the month of March could be impacted due to chip shortage, which we've actually seen a phenomena ever since COVID-19 actually hit us. What sort of a production number can we envisage from Maruti Suzuki for the month of March then?
Yeah, so actually, if you look at our, when we did the con call after the Q3 results, we had shown that in Q3, our production was affected to the tune of about 46,000 units. In January and February also, there has been some loss in production because of the semiconductor issue. And we expect that in March, actually, the situation would be a little worse than what it was in January and February. Exact quantification of the number at this point may not be possible because we still have very little visibility as far as availability of components. It's actually, we get updates on a weekly basis, and we keep revising our production numbers accordingly. So yes, I can confirm that there would be an impact in Q4, and in March, a larger impact than in Jan and Feb. But the exact numbers may be difficult at this point of time to tell.
And lastly, if you could tell us any plans for price hikes coming up in the next quarter.
See, yes, so price hikes are actually a function of cost structure, and we keep watching how the costs go. Two major components, of course, which we keep watching, because 75 to 77% of our cost structure pertains to material cost, and material cost movement will have a big impact on our overall costs. So there are some uncertainties, although we have seen a relatively softening of the commodity prices in the recent past, but still very high compared with what they were earlier, and therefore the pressure on profitability is there. And the second thing is that the RD norms, which will, and the OBD2 norms, which will come into force from 1st April, will entail a change of specs of the vehicles. Some of those models we have already changed the specs, and that, of course, entails additional costs. So we'll have to see the impact of all that and then take a considered decision. At the moment, we are still deliberating. We have not decided either way.
Okay, Mr. Srivastava, thank you so much for joining with us on Market Fatafat this afternoon and giving us your insights on what should we be expecting from the company going forward.